Okay, so I believe we are live now. Good evening, everybody.
Cool.
Welcome to another Allan Kardec Spiritism Group of New Zealand. As we are here, um, and as if you are in Auckland, you know, because you have gone through. We are going through a little bit of some issues with the weather. There's some flooding. Some people going through difficult times. We've had a few warnings not to get out of the house because of the rain, but we have sun, a little bit of sun behind me, which is making it a little bit hard for those who are on the Instagram. Hello, guys, on Instagram as well. Um, but yeah, so we decided to not do our study group in person, and we are doing it online, like we used to do during COVID times. And here with us tonight we have Osioni. Hello, Osioni. What's the weather
Hello.
like in your town?
It's not raining now, but cloudy. It's not sunny. Yeah, a little bit of a breeze, so it's good. Yeah,
But how have you been? You've been okay? Been good?
yeah, yeah. Mostly at home because of the restrictions, working from home, but
Mm-hmm.
it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Better days ahead for everyone, and also for everyone that is in Auckland that have going through difficult times. As always, if you can approach us, you can get in touch with us, and what we can offer, whatever we can do to help.
Mm.
Even a conversation or material needs or anything that you need, just come in and send us an email or a message, and whatever we can do to help, we can extend this offer from everyone in the group. And But here we are today doing our weekly study group. Last week we had a lecture
Lecture.
named Carita, which is about charity. So I think it's quite fitting that a week later here we are, where a city is needing a lot of charity, a lot of help. So those who are able to, is a good invitation from Carita to the spirit of Carita to help in times of need. And once again, if you know somebody that needs something, come and reach us at allankardecnz@gmail.com, or one of those messages you can send in our Facebook or Instagram, or
Mhm.
also YouTube. Do you have anything to say to us, Osuni? Yeah, anything else apart from
Well, the good
reading?
news, the weather is improving. So the forecast says that weather should become better from tomorrow, and by Friday we should be out of this weather of storm and rain. So let's hope for it, and of course keep praying for those that were affected by this extreme severe weather in Auckland. But
Mhm.
yeah, now it's good. It's time for us to study about
And
spirit.
hopefully by next week, we will be gathered
Yeah,
at Parnell Community Center, as we always do on a Wednesday.
yeah, we
So
should be.
as
Mhm.
yeah, and our study group online. Um, so let's start with our initial reading, our inspirational reading. Can you read, okay, or should I read, or
I
are
can
you able to
read.
read?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Number 48 from Living Spring, in the Lord's presence. Why is my language not clear to you? Because you are unable to hear what I say. Jesus, John 8:43. Christ's language has always seemed incomprehensibly and strange to many learners of the gospel, doing as much good as possible, even when evils are numerous and on the increase, lending without expecting repayment, forgiving always, loving one's enemies, helping slanderers and other bad people. Many people listen to the good news, but they cannot grasp its teachings. This happens to so many followers of the gospel because they use mental energy in other areas. They vaguely believe in heaven's help in times of suffering, but show a complete lack of interest in studying and applying the divine laws. The worries connected with ownership envelop their existence. They want the gold of the earth, the bread of the storehouse, usable linen, good health, the pleasures of the senses, and social respect so much they, that they not remember that they were mere beneficiaries of the world. They never think about the temporariness of all material assets, whose sole function is to provide them with an appropriate environment for working in charity and in delights for the elevation of the eternal spirit. They hear Christ's call, but their attention is riveted to the appeals of the physical life. They hear, but they do not listen. They are informed, but they do not understand. In this arena of contradictions, we always have his respectable persons and sometimes wonderful friends. They hold immense potential of goodness in their hearts, but their minds are always occupied with perishable forms. They are invaluable workstations, but their equipment is used for more or less pointless activities. Therefore, let us not forget that it is always easy to hear the language of the Lord, but it is essential to present to Him a heart free of residues of the earth, in order to receive the divine words in spirit and in truth.
So after this beautiful message, we center ourselves for our initial prayer, lifting our thoughts and our feelings towards God, our Heavenly Father, the infinite source of good and harmony and peace and love. We thank you for the opportunity of life with all the blessings and the challenges and the opportunities that are given to us on a daily basis. Let us be aware of the things that are around us and be able to fill our hearts with gratitude and looking in the smallest things that are offered to us so we can better evolve by learning how to love our neighbors, our brothers and sisters in this life. We also like to thank Jesus, our bigger brother, for the many messages and lessons and the constant and infinite support that he gives to all of us, the superior spirits, in the name of disseminating Spiritism in New Zealand and around the world, especially now through the internet, that we're able to reach so many people regardless of the circumstances. We also like to invite everyone to be here with us with an open heart, an open mind, to discuss and contemplate and analyze the studies that are set for us this evening. And we ask permission to start another Allan Kardec Spirits Group of New Zealand on Wednesday in Auckland. Thank you so much. So be it.
So it.
Okay. We also have Patrick here. Hello, Patrick. We're not able to be with you guys today, but we are here. I'm here. Ocean is there. We are
Hello,
on
Patrick.
Instagram as well. Um, so yeah, so we not last week. Last week was the lecture about charity, but the week before we started studying chapter 4, which is no one can see the kingdom of God unless he is born again. And I think where we stopped was pretty much that instance when Jesus Christ was brought to have a chat with Nicodemus, and then he was telling Nicodemus that that's where the passage comes from, that no one can see the kingdom of God unless he's born again. And Nicodemus was asking, so how is it possible for me to be born again? How can I go back to my mother's womb? And then to Jesus was surprised because he said, well, you are a writer of the law. You are one of those who should be able to understand. If you don't understand, what about those who don't have any knowledge of what the law, the divine laws say? And then we had this representation of the meaning of the word water, which is very much connected to baptism, to some religions. And I was going to change here. Um, I'm just reading out to number 7, which says the words, if a man is not born again of water and of the Spirit, have been interpreted in the sense of regeneration through the waters of baptism, but the original text simply stated not born again of water and of the Spirit, whereas in some translations the words of the Spirit have been replaced by of the Holy Spirit, which no longer implies the same thought. This crucial point stands out in the first commentaries written on the Gospels and will someday be confirmed beyond doubt. So just this part that I read, just to explain a little bit about um, the as it happened many times because Jesus spoke in parable and in a way that people of that time could understand. Not only the nature of a parable being sometimes not mystical, but sometimes with a hidden meaning, and also another fact on top of that is that many translations that happened, some words were added, um, and some expressions were altered as well. So that's pretty much one of them as well. When they added the word Holy Spirit, meaning giving the sense that the water implied on that passage was for the water of baptism, which it's just a much older, which is a much older. How can I say a much older? I was
Expression
gonna
or
say
saying?
dogma, but it's not dogma. The word I'm looking for.
Taboo? No, not taboo.
No, not taboo. Practice, like a practice or ceremony, than
Yeah.
Christianism. But
Ritual.
yeah,
Ritual? No.
yeah, ritual. Yeah, ritual is the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Mhm.
Sometimes two brains work better than one. So in this the item 8, we'll continue to explore that type of terminology. So I can start reading that one because you read the last one. So
Okay.
just
Oh,
wondering if everybody can see okay. Everybody can see okay. So um, item 8. In order to understand the real meaning of these words, one must also pay attention to the significance of the word water, which has not been employed in its proper acceptation. The The ancients' knowledge regarding the physical science was highly imperfect because they believed that the earth had arisen from the waters, and that is the reason they regarded water as the absolute generative element. That is why it is stated in Genesis that the Spirit of God hovered over the waters. It hovered over the surface of the waters. Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Let the waters that are under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry element appear. Let the waters produce living animals that swim in the water and birds that fly above the earth and under the firmament. So all of these quotes they're taking from the Bible, okay, from Genesis, the Old Testament. So as we can see, is all giving an idea about water being like a let's say like a basic element where everything else came from the water. Yeah.
mhm.
So, according to this belief, water became the symbol of the material nature, just as spirit was the symbol of the intelligent nature. The words, if a man is not born again of the water and of the spirit, or in water and in the spirit, does mean if humans are not born again with their body and their soul. This is the sense in which these words were originally understood. Moreover, such an interpretation is justified by these words: whatever is born of the flesh, and whatever is born of the spirit is spirit. Here, Jesus makes a positive distinction between spirit and body. Whatever is born of the flesh clearly indicates that only the body proceeds from the body, and that the spirit is independent of it. Does you would like to make any comments about that part, Oceania? This icon 8?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to go to the source of when that was written, like the time, and of course the meaning that we're giving at the time. So if we see nowadays water, yeah, it doesn't really mean the basic material or the basic substance for everything, but at that time is what they meant. But I think the lesson here is really like is highlighting what Jesus wants to say and separate the body. There is a body and there is a spirit. And we need to be born again, not just the body, but the spirit as well. So Jesus is clearly talking about reincarnation. But for the time and for the evolution of the people there was hard to understand. Even nowadays, it's still hard to understand. Not everybody agrees with that or understand, but it's a subtle way. And as usual, just always use analogies or figures that would make sense for the people of the time. But it's still, we need to make an effort to understand.
Yeah, and because this chapter talks about reincarnation, um, yeah, it's important that we put emphasis on that part. We're saying that the ancients' knowledge regarding the physical science was highly imperfect, and even nowadays, where we have a better understanding of the physical science, we don't have a total understanding of the spiritual nature either.
Yeah.
As some people believe that that your spirit or your soul is it's created at the time of conception. They don't understand that there is and there is another
Evolution.
yeah there is another life, another dimension of life, the spiritual life, where the spirits live, and where they have the origin of their life. It's on the spiritual world, and here is just a temporary life. So people believe, even some people believe that even after after the the conception, after conception, is still okay after some time, to abort, for example, which is spiritism understanding the nature of reincarnation. The since time of conception, it is a time where the spirit is linked to that body. Yeah, but the
Mhm.
body, the spirit didn't come, was not created after the body was conceived. There is there is a spirit that it comes beforehand, and it is in the spiritual world. And just after the conception, it becomes, even before the conception, to be honest, as we read on the Andre Louis series in the spiritual world, we see that the the spirit start to get connected with their future parents until the time of conception, and then that's when the physical, the perispiritic nature becomes bonded as well. So even nowadays, like you mentioned, there are people that don't have that knowledge and don't understand that they're separate. The body is one creation, and the spirit is uh, before that, in a different reality. It's is already existing. So yeah, it's we still have a lot of ground to cover.
Mm.
Um, but I think it's pretty clear, especially when he adds, whatever is born of the flesh is flesh, and whatever is born of the spirit is a spirit. So there is no much confusion anymore about the nature of the Holy being the Holy Spirit. If we interpret it like that and look at it as this original writing. I'm just checking if anybody has anything to say as well in our social medias. Let's have a look here. I'm just going to have a quick look at if any messages so far. I'll make the screen a bit smaller. I'm just working on a small screen, so it's a bit hard. Oh, yep, we have no comments so far.
Oh,
Um,
good.
okay, yeah. Would you like to read number 9?
Yep, sure. The Spirit blows wherever it wishes, and you hear its voice, but you do not know where it comes from or where it is going. May be understood either as the Spirit of God, who gives life to whomever God wishes, or the human soul. In this later acceptation, you do not know where it comes from and where it is going, means that no one knows that the spirit had been or what it will be. If the spirit or soul were created at the same time as the body, one would know where it came from, because one would know its beginning. In any case, this passage is the consecration of the principle of the pre existence of the soul, and consequently the plurality of existences. Now, since the time of John the Baptist until the present, the kingdom of heaven has been taken by violence, and violent are those who obtain it. For until John, all the prophets and the law thus prophesies. And if you wish to understand what I have said, he himself is Elijah, who must come. Let him hear who has ears to hear. Matthew 11:12-15. If the principle of reincarnation, as expressed in John, could be strictly interpreted in a purely mystical sense, the same could not apply to this passage from Matthew, which is unmistakable. He himself is Elijah, who must come. Here, there is neither symbol nor allegory, it is a positive affirmation. Since the time of John the Baptist until the present of kingdom of heaven has been taken by violence. What does this word mean? Since John the Baptist was still alive at that time? Jesus explained then, saying, if you want to understand what I have told you, he himself is Elijah, who must come. Hence, since John was none other than Elijah himself. Jesus was alluding to the time when John was living under the name of Elijah until the present. The kingdom has been taken by violence is another allusion to the violence of the Mosaic law, which ordered the extermination of the infidels to win the promised lands, the paradise of Hebrews, whereas according to the new law, heaven is won by charity and kindness. Then he added, let him hear who has ears to hear. These words, so frequently repeated by Jesus, clearly states that not everyone was in a condition to understand certain truths.
I think we stop here. Um, yeah, would you like to comment about from the 9 or?
Um, was something on that nine. Let me see now. What was it?
It was just a
Yeah,
compliment of what we talked about before, about knowing the
mm,
nature of the spirit, how it's still
yeah.
a mystery.
The part that I found interesting is where it says, uh, one would know where it came from because
Hmm.
so the body and
I'll
the
be back.
spirit, they don't have the same beginning and the same end. So body is temporary and the spirit is not. So that's it's very clear that difference between the distinguish between these two, because the spirit we don't know when it was created. So we know we were all created simple and ignorant, and we've been through many different experience, and we are in a process of developing and improving ourselves. So we don't know the end, the beginning and the end, but the body we can all know when someone is born and when someone pass away. So that's really well defined. So that's proves the principle of two principles: the pre-existence of the soul, so the soul existed before this incarnation here, and plurality of existence, so it's not the only incarnation here.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's very well put. Like it's if talking about, yeah, we don't know, I mean, we know that the spirits come from the errant state before they incarnate, but we don't remember, or we don't know the history, even ourselves. We don't know our own spiritual history. It is a mystery.
Yeah.
It's like the wind that it's coming. You don't know where it's coming from, and you don't know where it's going. So only further study and knowledge of this will come to surface. I just want to bring some ideas about this next part,
Mhm.
when he talks about Elijah. Because part of the in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew Bible, it was a passage in Malachi chapter 3, verses 1, 4, and 5, when he says that um, um, that Elijah will return during the end of times, which was the end of times, the beginning of new cycle where the Messiah will come, right? So um, that's where that was written way before Jesus' time. It was, in the Old Testament, where there was a prophet, Malachi, that wrote about the coming of the Messiah, the King of the Hebrews, that King of the Jews, that it was Jesus Christ bringing the new law, the new divine law, and he was saying that he was not Elijah. He was telling people that he was not Elijah. So he was saying that, if you wish to understand what I have said, he himself is Elijah who must come. So he was saying that John the Baptist is the reincarnation of Elijah. But he
Mhm.
also said that only those who have ears to hear will be able to understand. So not everybody will be able to accept that truth,
Yeah.
because people didn't have the true understanding of of the words of that Jesus said. So that's what he's saying. This passage is unmistakable. He himself, he put it in capital letters. He himself is Elijah who must come. So there's no symbol or allegory. He's actually explaining. So this explanation about the return of Elijah was said by Malachi, later on in the Old Testament, and later on in the New Testament by Matthew, right? Yeah, Matthew
Mhm.
11, 12 to 15. So yeah, there's no allegory. There's no way to try to understand in a different way. Um, so if you want to understand what I have told you, he himself is Elijah who must come. And hence, since John was none other than Elijah himself, Jesus was alluding to the time when John was living under the name of Elijah in a previous reincarnation. Yeah. So yeah, and also the violence that he's talking about, it was the distorted nature of the divine laws that became the Mosaic laws to try to detain and control the brutal and primitive behavior of the people at that time. That became a violent law. The extermination of the infidels, and so they could win the promised land. So yeah, it's still very confusing that time, but still we still go through some of this confusion these days as well. So is that clear? Did you were you aware of that passage of the Old Testament? Elijah being
Yeah,
I mean,
I
John the
heard that
Baptist being
before,
the
but yeah,
reincarnation of Elijah. Yeah.
yeah, I heard that before, but was really good comment there. Your comment brought more and more details and made it even more clear. That remind me also that let him hear who has ears to hear, that applies to many other principles of spiritism related to spirituality. Is I believe is similar to the existence of spirits. So sometimes people can even see or have some proof, as in not only hear but see, and they still don't believe. So depending on the time, the stage of life of the person, the stage of understanding, even hearing the right words, even have the explanation, even being really straightforward, will depend on the person, on the spirit evolution and the spirit understanding at the time. So it doesn't really mean that just by hearing something they will believe, and everyone has its time, the time to understand things, and that's fine as well.
Yeah, I think that's the only um, slides that I had. So I think what I can do, if you want to keep looking, I'm just gonna have a look through and see. Um, 10. Okay.
Oh, we did number 10, right? Is it?
Yeah, I'm just seeing how long it is after the 11.
Oh, it's very.
We did number 10 and 11.
Sorry.
No, we did number 10 and 11. Um, Let him
Yes.
hear. Yeah, so now I think we'll stop in number 12. We can stop in number 12 now. I guess we can have a short. Let me go to the
Yeah,
studio
leave 12
and
for next
get
week.
rid of this. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll just make a note of that. We have a few people that joined.
Oh,
Uh, Zé Araújo. Hello, Zé Araújo, on
hello
watching us
there.
on Instagram. So we have, okay, we start on, so we have item from next week, item 12, right?
12, number 12.
Yes, item 12, the gospel.
Chapter is the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
for item 12. Yes,
Item
that's
12,
right.
chapter 4 is the same. So we have a
Yeah.
comment by Patrick.
No, it's a question actually. A couple of questions.
Let's have a look. Yeah, so resurrection, the reunification. It's not coming up on my screen. Is it coming up on the screen for you?
So now I put on the. Can you see now
Oh, yeah.
or just?
So resurrection, the unification of the body and spirit is not possible. Just thinking that the spirit continues to exist, flesh is flesh and deteriorates. The same that applies to John the Baptist and Elijah is the same for us. Yes, correct. Just like at the beginning of the chapter is saying that, back in the days, the understanding of the physical nature, it was not clear. People didn't understand, but now we understand that when the body perishes, there's no way of the molecules coming together. We understand now that we are energy, and once this energy dissipates, it goes to different forms of life. It goes to different forms of energy is dissipated to become part of the material on the planet. But so the idea of resurrection, according to science itself, not only spiritism, it's impossible. It was just an allegory that there was people were able to understand back in the days, but now with the understanding of science first, and with what the spirits have told us and have helped us understand, I think it's become logical in a way. Yeah, and yes, it makes sense. Yeah, it made sense. I'm not sure if I made sense. Would you like to add anything to that comment, Oceani, about
No, I
resurrection?
think
Because that was talked
we.
about at the beginning of that chapter, Patrick. There is a comment about that. So if you go back and read it, it's item, I think it's item 3 on this chapter.
He said makes
No, you're
total
welcome.
sense. Cool. Awesome. I don't know how to take
Yeah.
this from the screen, Mani. So do I have to click again?
Would you
Oh,
like to add
okay.
anything to that? As well? I can do
No,
that.
I think it's very
Do
clear.
you
I think
do you, do you have anything else to add,
no, I
or
think it's very clear with your explanation and everything. I think we can move to the Spirit's book if there are no further questions.
okay? We also have Leo that just joined us on Instagram. Hello, Leo. And
Hi, Leo.
yeah, we'll move to the spirits book. Yeah, those who are following on Instagram. It's probably easier to follow us on Facebook. Yeah,
Mm,
we're not set up. StreamYard that we use is not very Instagram friendly. But yeah, if you're okay following us on Instagram like this, improvised, then that's fine. Okay, so we are now going through our next reading, which is the Spirit's Book, Part 2, Chapter 10, Occupations and Missions. There's something missing there. No, Missy is Missions of the Spirits, and question 582. If you are on Kardecpedia, or if you are looking, on a physical book, or if you are um, on an ebook, if you we do have the the questions and answers here for you. But if you prefer to read in your book, that's where you need to go. Part 2, Chapter 10, question 582. We've been talking about the occupation, the missions of the spirits. First, they talked about the missions of the discarnate spirits, talking about the guardian angels, talking about the protecting spirits, and then started to talk about missions of the incarnates as well. Excuse me. How everyone, how everyone in this life, in this reincarnation, have a mission, have a purpose, and they don't differ. They don't differ on the, not the category but the quality, because everyone has a purpose to fulfill in order to develop the divine laws and the divine work that is supposed to be done in this planet, in the way of evolving and improving ourselves and improving our families, improving our community, and individually we evolve, and then helping those around us. The whole collective goes forward and goes stronger. So we stop now in the very interesting topic. Sorry about the helicopter flying by. I live close to the airport, so there's a lot of air traffic around here.
mhm.
So 582. You read last. Say so. It's my turn now. My turn to read. Yeah,
Yep, yep.
and then you can read the next one. I
Sure.
think I put 4 questions because that's the end of this part of the spirits book. Because then we go to chapter 11. I think next time. So 582. Can parenthood be considered a mission? It is, without any doubt, a mission, and at the same time, a very great duty that involves parents more than they might think concerning their responsibility for the future. God has placed children under the care of their parents so that they may guide them on the path of the good, and has facilitated their task by giving children a frail and delicate organization that renders them accessible to all sorts of impressions. However, there are those who are more concerned with training the trees in their orchards and making them produce fine fruit than with training the character of their children. If their children fail due to their neglect, they will have to bear the punishment, and the sufferings of their children will come back to them in a future life because they did not do what was incumbent on them for their children's advancement on the path of the good. I think it's interesting that, sorry, just to comment on the part of the answer, is saying that there are those who are more concerned with training the trees in their orchards, um,
Mhm.
which is interesting. Nowadays, not many people are busy, training the trees in their orchards. Some people do have some people probably do have a veggie patch or veggie garden like I do. But I think we can probably translate to a more modern era. Like people are more concerned with their jobs or their passions or their sport, or nowadays with their technology, their gadgets. Instead of
Yeah.
and instead of training the character of their children, and sometimes even putting that into the children as well. So instead of having that family unity and the family um, goal as well, just talking about missions and goals, individual, but having a family, having a mission to accomplish something, and to investing in the development of the children. So it is being a father myself for three children is not an easy task. It's very demanding, but it's very rewarding. I normally say is having three boys is a handful, but it's also a heartful, because the more you get engaged, the more you try um, to participate, the more you get from them as well. Um, is anything you'd like to say? I mean, you're not a parent, but you are in a way. You are the a
Yeah.
role model for the kids as being their
Yeah.
auntie. For those who don't
Mission of
know,
auntie, proud auntie, auntie. Yeah, yeah. Um. So that's three of what is it again that it says here? Trees in the orc. So I think nowadays many parents as well they wanna work a lot, make money, and to provide for the kids, for the future of the kids as well. Like, okay, I want to work a lot so then in the future, my kids they don't have any war, any financial problems, any difficulties, any challenge like I did in the past, which it's valuable and which is good. But sometimes taking the time that they should be with the spend with the kids just about the material things and about the money as well. So it needs to be a balance. Of course, every parent will have the responsibility to provide and give the best as possible to give shelter, to give food, to give everything. But the time and spending quality time with the kids, it's it's as important as, or sometimes even more important. So it's trying, yeah, keep a balance. But of course, it's very challenging. And as Mani mentioned, with
yeah.
all the technological gadgets around, um, it's easier to just leave the kids with the technology because they will be quiet and they will behave when they have the technology. But it's a, yeah, it's a mission, it's a duty, and it's challenging. But everyone can just do their best.
Yeah, because it is going back to for those who haven't seen the lecture last week, talk about charity, and there's a big distinction on chapter 13 of the gospel, which we're going to be reading in these studies a bit further along in the year. The Caritas presents us the difference between material charity and moral charity. So just trying to provide for the future of the kids in a material sense, you are pretty much just doing material charity. You're not really interested in helping them um, to look after themselves, because as we know, we are perishable. Everyone will pass away. Everyone will disincarnate. So if you're only interested in preparing your kids financially for the future, when you are gone, when the parents are gone, they won't be able to utilize that wealth for their better understanding.
Mm,
And so yeah, it is a very fine balance between focusing on their future and leaving them a good start in life, then giving them enough skills and tools to be able to use that wealth to increase their develop themselves pretty much. So it is it is a tricky balance, but we live in a material world. We can't just um, ignore that fact either. But the most important part is that we help them in their advancement on the path of the good. That's what the spirit is saying. Would you like to
mhm.
read 5A3, or do you have something else
Yep.
to add? Or,
I can read the next one.
Mhm.
If a child go astray, in spite of the care of the parents, are they still responsible? No. The more the child is disposed towards evil, the heavier their task is, and the greater will be their merits if they manage to divert the child away from the path of evil. So that's, yeah, really does make sense, because the child is a spirit that had many other incarnations, and
Yeah.
therefore bring their.
Linking with the first reading that we just did about
Yeah,
reincarnation, right? Yeah. Cool.
exactly. So it's not the first one. So therefore, yes, will come with imperfections, will come with virtues, and so is as a parent mission to help. But in the end of the day, it's the child's or the spirit's responsibility, their own improvement, and they have free will. So the parent can be responsible for all the actions and all the result of the child. If a child becomes a good adult, despite the negligence or bad examples of the parents, do do the parents receive any benefit from it? God is just. So we, as always, we should never judge or try to guess what's going to happen with this person or the other person. God can see our hearts, can see our intentions, and can see how we our behavior as well. So everything will be given to us according to our actions. So if we did good, we receive goods, and so on.
Yeah, because I mean that's interesting. Like if saying if the parents are not good, they're negligent, giving bad examples, but the child is still becomes a good adult. Does the parent receive any benefit? So God is
Mhm.
just, So in this
Yeah.
case, it was more of a merit of the child itself than does the parent. So yeah, just once again going blinking back to that basic idea, and principle of spiritism, saying that for every action there is a reaction, or more precisely, for every cause there is an effect. 584. What could be the nature of the missions of conquerors whose only aim is to satisfy their ambition, and who, in order to reach their goal, do not recoil before any calamity they may cause? Most of the time, they are nothing more than instruments used by God for fulfilling the divine designs. Such calamities are often the means for enabling a people to advance more rapidly. It's interesting because we're talking about the missions, and if you say, what about those who they look like they have a mission and they only satisfy their ambition? Just talking about recent, recent occurrences in Brazil, after the elections, we can think that's the first thing that comes to my mind. I'm not defending any politician, neither left or right. It's just that it seems like most of politicians I mean, not only in Brazil but in many parts of the world, they are in a corruptive way satisfying their ambition or their people ambition. So um, yeah, so just saying that it's not their mission to fail. No spirit is given a mission to do evil, to do bad things, but they are used by God as an instrument to fulfill the divine design. So after the suffering, the people that are suffering that will probably be able to advance more rapidly through trials and expiations as well. If those who are the instruments of such temporary calamities are unaware of the good that may result from them because they inflicted them with a personal aim in mind, will they nevertheless profit from the resultant good? So even if somebody did something bad when they were supposed to do good, and some good come out of it, will they profit from this, the result of what their actions were, even though the actions were not good? All are rewarded according to their deeds, the good they meant to do, and the honesty of their intentions. So even if something good came out of their bad intentions, they will have to reap what they sow, because their intention was not to do something good, and it was the all rewards come after their deeds. What do you have to say about that, Oceani? What do you have something to?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's reinforcing that all missions, the missions always have a positive goal or something to produce goods, not evil. And as I, yeah, the word intention is what I just said before. So God can see our intentions, our hearts. So we'll be judged according to it, not really according to the result, because sometimes the intention was bad but came out something good, or vice versa. So what really matters is what's on our hearts, our thoughts, and not really the result, because that could be the opposite. If you want, I can read the last part because this is was quite long what you read.
Yes, please.
Oh,
Oops, sorry. Hang
it
on.
disappeared. Okay.
There you go.
Incarnate
Yeah.
spirits have
Sorry.
occupations. Oh, sorry. Start again. Incarnate spirits have occupations inherent to their corporeal existence. In the rate state or dematerialization, their occupations are in proportion to their degree of advancement. Some journey from world to world, learning and preparing for a new incarnation. Others, more advanced, occupy themselves with progress by directing events and suggesting favorable thoughts. They assist the genius who occur in the advancement of humankind. Others reincarnate on a mission of progress. Still others take under their care individuals, families, human agglomerations, cities, and peoples, for whom they become guardian angels, protector spirits, and familiar spirits. Finally, finally, other presides over the phenomena of nature, of which they are the direct agents. Ordinary spirits meddle in our occupations and amusements. Impure or imperfect spirits wait in suffering and anguish for the moment in which it please God to grant them the means of advancement. If they practice evil, it is out of spite for not yet being able to enjoy the goods. Yeah,
Wow.
just talking about the occupations of the spirits in the errant state, and that will depend, of course, of the level of evolution, pretty much. So the more evolved spirits are, more able they are to help others. So he mentions that some take some other individuals under their care. Some are able to get bigger projects and influence even more, like more people, and of course the ones that are less advanced, they can be just between us, among us, influencing negatively even, or if a bit more advanced, they'll be learning by themselves first. So the more evolved we are, more able we are, interested and capable of helping others, of doing charity. That's more or less what's saying here.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's pretty much the kind of the final thought that Allan Kardec put it in the end of this chapter, because from next week we're gonna go through the new chapter, which is I think chapter 11. Let me have a quick look so I can inform everyone. Opening. Yes, chapter 11 is called the Three Kingdoms. The Three Kingdoms. Um, Let me just share here with you guys so we can, for next week, we can go from
Hmm.
there. It's going to be,
Cool. Hopefully in person, eh?
there you go, the Three Kingdoms, which is the last chapter of the second part, talking about 585, minerals and plants, and then the animals and human beings. So it's going to be a very interesting chapter for us to to
Study.
study next week. Um, Let me
Cool.
see. We don't have any more comments from Patrick
Mhm.
or anybody else on our live on Instagram. So, do you have anything else to say about this last part? I mean, in general. I mean, I think as
Yeah.
you already had your final thoughts, right? Um, I think what I can probably add, I mean, something that came to my mind, it's for the spirits that are in a superior or towards a good path. you know they are those that we can see. For example, how many people have put their hands up and risen up to the occasion, where like you see a lot of suffering at the moment in Auckland. A lot of people lost their belongings. Some people lost loved ones, and the number of people that got together to help, and preparing shelter, food, and that. So yeah, when the just like in the o nosso lar, no, our home, and when he said that when the worker is ready, work comes up. So for the spirit is the same. If the
Mm.
spirit is ready, there is always a mission to be fulfilled. There's always work and progress to be done in the divine laws and the divine designs. So that's what it came to my mind when it's so talking about halfway through that passage says still others take under their cares individuals, families, human agglomerations, cities, and peoples from whom they become guardian angels, protective spirits, and familiar spirits. So, in a moment like this, that's where we can see, the true nature of humanity. It's easy to get um, taken away by a lot of the comments, the negative comments and negative news that we see all around us. But in moments like this, that we can see, very helping hands coming in our way. So, just a reminder as well, if anybody that is watching this or if anybody that is watching this knows somebody that needs something that any of us can help, just send us an email and we can offer, we can see what we can do to help those
Mhm.
who are in a very unfortunate situation that is happening around in Auckland at the moment. Well, since we don't have any more
Moments.
comments, would you like to do? I'll do the. How about I do the vibration and you do the final prayer, or the other way
Yes.
around, or what would you prefer?
If you do the vibration, can do the final prayer. Do you need
Okay, let
some
me just.
music, or we don't? You don't.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Let's just watch this beautiful picture here,
Okay.
and sit in a comfortable position and calming ourselves, focusing on our breathing, calming our body, our thoughts, and our feelings. So happy to be together, even though we are physically apart, but the spirit of fraternity and the internet and our wish and desire to be together, we are here in your name, O Lord, to be able to do a little part that we can by the act of prayer, vibration, irradiation, sending energies, whatever name you like to focus in the moment. And we start to feel a little bit lighter, more in tune with these superior spirits that are here with us in this moment, assisting us and directing all these fluids that we are able to give, to share for those who are in need. As we've just been talking, in Auckland, we've had uh, one of the biggest floodings that affected many people that lost their homes, lost their sense of safety and security. Some have passed away, disincarnated in these sad circumstances. So we pray that our brothers and sisters can find some comfort in the hands of good workers that are able to provide in a system not only with the material that they need, but also with a helping hand, with a warm smile. We pray for those who have lost and those who feel lost in a moment of distress. We also pray for the health of those who are still going through some symptoms of COVID, those who are going through stress because they lost somebody because of COVID, just to reassure that there is no loss. There's only a momentary distance from the physical world, but just by praying for them, we are able to connect with those we love. We also pray for the planet Earth, still going through many wars, many cases of altercation, many people suffering in a planet of trials and expiations, going through the challenges they need to go to improve themselves, to create a bond with God and the good spirits. We now take a moment to pray for our families, wherever they may be, in New Zealand, or relatives in Brazil, in Australia, other parts of the world. Also extending our prayer to everyone that belongs to our Spiritism group, that maybe you're not able to be with us online tonight, or maybe are watching later. Sending good vibrations to your homes, to your loved ones. We also take a moment to pray for the spirits that have disincarnated recently. Some of them still confused and lost. Some of them still wondering what happened to them. Taking this opportunity to ask the assistance of the superior spirits, if our friends who disincarnated wish to do so, to become assisted, to be taken to wherever they need to go in the next level of their evolutionary journey. And now we take a moment to imagine in our mental monitor, in our minds. Let us imagine those who are who we know are in need. It can be physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual. Let's just take a moment to use our imagination and looking at these people, brothers and sisters. Imagine them receiving a shower of blessings, this light falling upon them, and seeing these friends, brothers and sisters changing the way they look, sadness becoming happiness, a frown becoming a smile, believing that the superior spirits have the power and the knowledge to apply these fluids whatever they need to receive them. And after this exercise of charity that we thank our superior spirits for assisting us, we'd like to ask Alcine to do the final prayer to finalize this meeting.
Dear God, Jesus, our Master and friends, would you like to say thank you so much for this opportunity to be here tonight and be reminded of some of Jesus' teachings, to be reminded of spirituality and our responsibility of improving ourselves. Would you like to open our hearts for all the blessings that we are receiving tonight, that we can take them with us and spread around wherever we go, that we can help as many people as possible throughout our week. And so we ask permission to finish another Allan Kardec meeting. Thank you again. So be it.
All right. So thanks, Alcione, for joining
Thank you,
us.
Annie. Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody, for
everyone.
watching us.
Patrick, Togun, Zé Araújo, Leonardo, Flávia. Who else? Quite a few people that I forgot. Carol. Yes. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next week in person.
In
If you
person.
can make it, that'll be good. I know Togun will be able to come in person. We miss you, Togun. But yes, hopefully those who are able to come, that'll be great. See you next week, Patrick. Thank you. All right,
Bye
guys.
bye. Bye.
Kakite. Okay, now it's goodbye.
Desligou, Annie?
Sim.
Maravilha. Ok. É isso aí. Você leu então, Annie, o Cavaleiro e o Civi que eu te mandei?
Li. Li. Ficou
Beleza.
bom.
É, acho que sim. Ainda tá ligado,
E
Mani.
Ricardo aí? Não, acabou, não.